Okay, so today we're going to take a deep dive and try to figure out uh, if cheaper AI means we're all going to be swimming in a sea of chips.
Interesting question, right? Because you'd think sheep or anything means we need less of something else to make it.
Right, exactly. If it's cheaper to make, then, you would think we need less of the stuff it takes to build it.
But that's not always how it works.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes you can make something more efficient and cheaper, but then people end up using way more of it.
Yeah, so we've got a really interesting mix of articles here today to try and answer that question. We've got some stuff from NPR, an article in MIT Technology Review Investing.com, and even a deep dive into the work of this 19th century economist, a guy named William Stanley Jevons.
Yeah, he's got this idea called the Jevons Paradox.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
You know what that is, right? The Jevons
It's
Paradox.
like something gets more efficient, but then we end up using more of it overall.
Exactly. So think about it this way. Imagine you're back in the 1800s, okay?
Okay.
And all of a sudden steam engines get way more efficient. Like somebody figures out a way to make them burn less coal for the same amount of power.
Right. Makes sense.
You'd think, okay, less coal needed, problem solved.
Yeah.
But what actually happened is we ended up burning through way more coal
Huh. Why is that?
because those cheaper, more efficient engines made it possible to do all sorts of new things. Suddenly, everyone could afford to use them. You had more factories popping up, steamships, railroads, all kinds of new industries springing up.
So even though the engines themselves are more efficient, the overall demand for coal just exploded.
Yep. And that's the paradox. Increased efficiency can actually lead to increased consumption.
So how does this all tie back into AI and chips? Are we saying that even if these Chinese companies and algorithms like DeepSeek, and by the way, for anyone listening who doesn't know, DeepSeek is this crazy AI program that can actually generate its own AI. It learns how to make other AI, which is just bonkers.
Right.
Even if they make AI way cheaper, are we saying we might end up needing even more chips?
It's definitely a possibility, right? I mean, think about it. If AI suddenly becomes way more affordable and accessible, it's not just going to be tech companies playing with it anymore.
Right.
Like, imagine hospitals using AI to personalize treatment plans for every single patient, or factories becoming super efficient with AI-powered robots.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We could see a massive surge in demand for processing power to run all those AI applications. And that means more chips, probably more advanced chips, and maybe even bigger and more complex AI models.
Well, that sounds like it'd be pretty good news for companies like NVIDIA,
Yeah.
right? I was just reading an article on investing.com about how the chip industry is poised for huge growth.
Yeah, if this all plays out like the Jevons Paradox, they're going to be in a great spot. The whole semiconductor industry could see a massive boom.
Oh, wow.
But it's not all sunshine and roses. MIT Technology Review had this article questioning whether DeepSeek will actually lead to lower energy consumption in the long run.
Right, because that's the other piece of this puzzle, right? It's not just about the number of chips. It's also about the energy it takes to run them.
Absolutely.
So it's not just a simple equation like cheaper AI means more chips means more problems.
Not necessarily. There are other factors at play. What if we see breakthroughs in energy efficiency at the same time?
Right.
Or what if developers figure out how to optimize AI so it runs smoothly on less powerful hardware? Those things could have a huge impact.
So we could potentially end up in a world where AI is both cheaper and more sustainable.
Hopefully. But the Jevons Paradox is a good reminder to be careful about making assumptions. If we just assume that cheaper AI will automatically mean less resource use, we might be in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, if you build it, they will come. If we make AI super cheap and easy to use, people are going to find all sorts of new ways to use it, and all those new applications are going to drive the demand for more powerful hardware.
Exactly. It's a feedback loop. Chipper AI leads to more uses, which leads to demand for better hardware, which fuels more AI development, and so on.
And so on, and so on.
And that's why it's so important to understand these dynamics. We need to be thinking about the long-term consequences of these technological advancements and making sure we're managing them responsibly.
So the big takeaway here is that cheaper AI doesn't necessarily mean the end of our need for powerful chips. In fact, it could lead to a whole new era of chip demand. It all depends on how we navigate this transition and make sure we're developing AI in a sustainable way.
Exactly. And that brings us to the question I want to leave you with today. If this Jevons paradox really does apply to the AI world, what strategies can we put in place to make sure this technological revolution is sustainable in the long run? What can we do to make sure we're not just creating a bigger problem down the road?
Yeah, that's something to think about for sure. So much to consider with this topic. It's always exciting and a little bit scary to see how these things play out.
Exactly. It's a brave new world out there.
A brave new world indeed.
Full of exciting possibilities, but we got to be smart about how we approach them.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in to this deep dive into the future of AI and chips. It's a complex issue with a lot of moving parts, but hopefully we've given you some food for thought.
Absolutely. Keep those brains buzzing, and we'll catch you next time.
See you, bye.
Bye.